Welcome to the DL Gaming Podcast. This week, we're going to be talking about Hades 2 and Star Wars Squadrons. But first, my name is Christian.
I'm Bobby.
And I'm Emilio. Nothing snarky this episode. Hey, when it's
Really?
three people, it's a little harder, man.
Yeah. Do you usually think of the thing you're going to say as soon as I hit the go live button, or do you have it a little beforehand?
Yeah, usually like in those few seconds, I'll put it together.
Yeah. So Nick saying I'm Nick gives you that extra.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Okay.
And the older I get, the more members we're going to need. This is more time.
We need to add more people to this podcast for the front bit. Yeah, I like it. Cool. I wrote down a bit on the show notes, but then I didn't tell Bobby about it, and he has to present it. So I think that could be fun. So maybe Bobby, go and tell the people what I wrote.
Wow.
Under
What does
under
it say?
pl-
Yeah,
under
just do your
what?
best. Yeah, do your
Okay.
best.
You wrote Discord activity. Tell us what you're playing.
I don't know what that means.
You don't want to do your best extrapolation?
Well, I guess that means you want people in Discord to tell us what they're playing, right?
Well, what has been cool is people have been telling us what they've been playing just spontaneously last week. They say, we listen to this podcast every week, but we never get to say what they kind of feel a little left out. And so everyone started writing paragraphs of what they're playing. And I thought that was cool. But obviously you guys didn't see this, so this is kind of awkward, I guess, maybe. I don't know.
I must have missed that thread.
I must have missed that specific conversation in the Discord. But no, I think that's a good idea. If we talk about, or if people want to write up something that we can read on the podcast about what they're playing.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe when we go into highlights, it's like, this is what we're playing. Time Killer B is playing blah, 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 and this guy's playing this.
And he loves
whatever.
it. Yeah, it would be like a little ad read. Time Killer
Yeah.
B. Yeah, okay. Yeah, let us know what you're playing, guys. On this podcast, we ping things. I am pinging something that every Canadian will love and enjoy. And if you're not Canadian, you won't know what the fuck I'm talking about. But Elizabeth May, yes, the politician, has entered the world of video games. This is exciting. For Americans who don't know who Elizabeth May is, she used to be the leader of the Green Party of Canada, and she's kind of a quirky gal. She's had lots of quotables from Question Period in Parliament, and one of them was when someone said fart, she stood up and she said, guys, I know we all want to give our opinion in Parliament, but I heard a word that was unparliamentary, and I think we should strike it from the record. And everyone was like, what word? Like, they were generally like, oh, what word was that? And she let everyone discuss for a while, and then she said fart. It was so funny. Anyways, so she is bringing forward this
You're
petition.
being unparliamentary right now, dude. We should strike you from the podcast.
Yeah, get out of here. Get this guy out of here. She's bringing something forward for the government to look at. Basically mandating that publishers always maintain an option to purchase any game that they publish. So pulling a game from a storefront or having to connect to an online service that no longer exists so you can't play the game would be illegal if this was passed in Canada. I don't know if this is a huge thing a lot of people are clamoring for. My opinion, I guess, is modding communities usually keep games going just fine. But I guess now that there's a lot of online games that do require you to log into something, going forward, once those games are pulled, this will ensure that they're still available. So it's kind of cool. I don't know. What are your guys'... I see quizzical looks.
It's a little confusing. So what they're saying is it doesn't have to be supported forever, but there has to be a one-time purchase version.
It doesn't have to be supported forever, but if you required someone to log in and connect to an online service, you have to pull that requirement going forward if you plan to not support the game anymore. People can just log in and play. They don't have to connect to...
Yeah, I don't think this is at the very top of what we need, but it's a nice bell or whistle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bobby, thoughts on this exciting piece of legislation from the Canadian Parliament?
We'll be surprised if this gets if this gets any traction. I don't know if anybody really cares too much about this. I mean, a lot of times games die off and nobody really cares about them. I mean, the reason they stop supporting them is because the games are old and nobody's playing them. So I don't know. Is there really a need for this? And what about games like Battleborn or Super Monday Night Combat, where you would need it would require constant investment from the company to keep those going. Like they'd have to run the servers to allow access to the game.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. It's not in what she drafted, so I don't know if she knows or if anyone knows, but I just thought it was interesting because this senior citizen is kind of offensive, but this older lady, this older member of parliament is bringing forward something for video games. It's just very random. She's like the leader of the Green Party. It's not really her MO. And anyways, Amelia, what are you pinging this week?
Well, I can bleed right into that. First of all, I'd rather listen to Parliament Funkadelic than your Parliament. But as far as games that fucking won't die, dude, fucking more shit's coming out for The Witcher 3, which is going to lead to even more shit coming out for The Witcher 3. So on May 21st, they are going to have something called Red Kit come out from CD Projekt Red, and it is a modding program, I guess, based on their the engine that they use. So modders are going to be able to make complete worlds in the Witcher 3 engine now.
Wow.
And so and it's super easy to get. You can get it on GOG, you can get it on Steam, you can get it on like wherever you play it on PC, you can pretty much get this dev kit, and it doesn't cost anything. So this time next year, we should have fucking all kinds of new stuff for Witcher 3. So can't wait for that.
That's pretty exciting. Do you think they'll do the same thing for Cyberpunk? Like maybe this is a soft run and then they're like, go nuts on Cyberpunk.
Could be, man, because I feel like it's so much more open. There's so much more freedom in that game.
In Cyberpunk?
In Cyberpunk, yeah.
Got it.
But yeah, who knows? Sky's the limit. Bobby, but you've been modding our website?
Smooth. I've been fixing a few things on our website. I went to our website and guys, you got to tell us when things are not working. That site was in disarray, I might say. A bunch of broken links, a lot of things wrong with it, formatting issues. So yeah, I went through and I tidied a few things up. Probably got a little more work to do. Also, I think only our episodes from 2017 and on are still available. The other ones still have broken links. So I'm going to be working through our backlog and fixing the broken links. So if you really wanted to listen to one of our podcasts from like 2014, you can do it. And I got SSL running on that too. So feel free to jump into the store and purchase something without exposing your personal financial information.
God damn it, dude. That was my racket. Where am I going to get my money now? God. All right. I'll find another way. It's okay.
Yeah. And that website is dlgaming.net, of course. I wonder how much, we talked about this before. I wonder how much our domain is worth. Let's see if I look it up on like Namecheap or something.
While you're doing that, I will look northward to the lights from this weekend. The Northern Lights. I guess there's a huge solar flare, and somehow magic happens in space, and then in our sky we get colors. Right? That's the way I understand it.
Yes, scientific.
How often? We were talking about it a little bit before the podcast, but Christian, how often do you see Northern Lights?
So where I grew up in Peace River, which is pretty remote and north, all the time, maybe 20 times a year ish. Since I moved to Calgary, not once. So
interesting.
There's a pretty big difference, even in an 8-hour drive, basically north. So
when you get it 20 times a year, is it still kind of special?
Yes, every time I'm like, oh my fucking god, they're dancing in the sky, baby.
That's fucking sick, dude. But anyway, this one was a little different because it was reds and purples. Yeah.
Yes. Yep.
And also, it came all the way down to Southern California.
I
but
didn't
missed
know
it.
it went all the way there. That's so cool. That's really
Yeah.
sad that you missed it. Have you seen the Northern Lights before though? Has it gone that far?
Never
north or
seen it,
south
and it's a
before?
dream of Samantha's too. And I read the article, and I was like, "Hey, there's a possibility." And but that's it. Then we went to sleep.
Oh no,
I
that
know,
sucks.
dude. I know.
I so Rianne had to work the next day, so I stayed up all alone at the park on Saturday night by my house, and I just laid in the grass and looked, and I didn't know if it was going to happen because I've never seen them in the city before, and there's so much light pollution. And I was about to go home. I was out there for about an hour, and then on my walk home, the sky just lights up in these reds and purples and greens, and it's dancing everywhere. And I'm like, oh my god! I look up at the sky, and it looks like there is a black sun, and the northern lights are shooting out of this. I guess it's like the only part in the sky that isn't lit up, but it looks like it's emanating from this central point. And I'm looking all around me. I'm like, this is awesome. And everyone is about leaving the bars at this time. I kind of live near a busy-ish street, and there's so much like drunk drama in the park that I'm hearing. And I'm like, guys, the drama in your life is
look
not
up.
Dude, look at the drama in the sky. Come on, guys.
Yeah.
So I had a great night and a great time hanging out there.
It's so fun. That's so cool that you can go to the park at 1 a.m. And with we'd be murdered here. For sure.
That's
guaranteed.
sad. That's sad. Yeah. It's a cool spot. Bobby, no Northern Lights for you? You didn't know about it or you didn't see it?
Didn't know about it. Did not see it.
Don't
Did
feel like
not
you're missing
care.
out? Did not care.
I don't know. It might be cool. My parents really like going to Alaska, and they like the cruises up there, and I think they've seen it. I don't have a particular interest in seeing it, but I don't know. I mean, if it's happening, I'll look up and look at it. But I don't know if I'm gonna, I don't know if I'm gonna go out of my way.
Right. Okay. Well,
It's like that movie, Look Up. Did you guys see that?
I
Don't
didn't
look up.
know.
Don't Look Up? Is that what
Yeah.
it is?
Yeah, don't look up.
Yeah, nobody's paying attention to fucking Christian screaming at the top of his lungs. Put down your drinks.
Put
Look
down
up.
your tricks. Look up. They're dancing in the sky. Yeah. Should I tell the story? It might be too much of a bird walk. Stop me if it's too long. I got my hair cut. I went to the haircutter place. I said, hey, did you catch the Northern Lights last night? She says, oh, yeah, I love that band. I go, no, the Northern Lights in the sky. Apparently there was a band playing called the Northern Lights in
Wow.
Calgary. So, yeah, that
And
was...
apparently they call barbershops haircutter places in
Wow.
Canada.
Okay. Didn't expect that insult on a story off the cuff, but it's okay. Highlights, we're moving on to games that we have been playing. And me and Bobby played a game, Star Wars Squadrons, where we pretended to be in Vanguard Squad, I guess, is the Rebellion Squad. As a dream, it was always... As a kid, it was always my dream to fly in an X-Wing. And when I went to my grandma's farm and I rode the snowmobile, I would always pretend I was like in an X-Wing or on in a pod racer and I'd like vroom around. And that's kind of what I feel when I play this game. You know, it's really immersive. It puts you right in. It's VR friendly. So all the like notches and dials actually denote things you're supposed to be paying attention to, like how much energy you have and, you know, what your different balancing of your weapon systems are. Yeah, I loved it. And the story mode isn't bad. Ollie, what did you feel about this game?
First, let me tell you how I feel about EA.
Okay. Yeah. Famously loved company.
Yeah. No, they're terrible. Every time I play one of their games, it's just, you know, when you play, you got a time set with your buddy and you're going to play a video game, and then you hop on, you're ready to go, and then one of you has to spend like 20 minutes figuring out like some technical issue or something, and it just totally kills momentum. That's what happened to us. So I installed the game, and of course I hadn't launched it before Christian and I had played, and I got hit with so much like bullshit at the beginning of it, just trying to get the game to run correctly with the resolution and the graphics. And then also had to log into my EA account, kept telling me my password was wrong, had to go through the password reset. Then it wants me to do the 2-factor authentication. Then it wants me to do the 2FA again. And then I played again today, and it was like, hey, gonna need that 2FA one more time. I'm like, dude, what is the deal?
It's the most secure starfighter game in the planet. No one will fly your starfighter. It'll only be you.
Yeah. So, about 15 minutes into this, I'm like, I'm starting to see why this game was on sale for $2. Once I got past all that, I did like the game. So back in the day, there was a game called TIE Fighter. There was one called X-Wing too, but TIE Fighter was the one. This was like the flight sim and Star Wars themed. It was like, that was a big deal, dude, that everybody was playing TIE Fighter. And I think this game, in a way, kind of captures what made TIE Fighter so cool. Now, that game, you go back and play it now, of course, it's super ancient and probably doesn't hold up. But I don't know. I feel like this is a pretty good flight sim. You can do space combat in Battlefront 2, and nobody really plays that mode. And even if you do get into the mode, it's very arcadey and it's not like all that fun. But
Yeah.
this really does get into detail where you're adjusting power to your shields, your engines, or your weapons, and it's got a lot of there's a lot of customization to the ship. It's just more than just like look around and blow people up. That being said, I feel like this game is almost unplayable without a flight stick. So Christian was playing with his flight stick. um, I was not. We had a few other people from the podcast playing. We had Warco, we had Rusty Bagel, we had Lotion on for a bit. um, there was a noticeable difference between people either using keyboard and mouse, flight stick, or controller. I mean, it was like it's like when you play a first-person shooter and someone's got keyboard and mouse and the other one's got a controller. It's just like there's no contest. So I really feel like I was at a disadvantage not having a flight stick. Christian
Bro,
was
you
doing
got
pretty
were
well.
warned.
smoked.
You were warned, dude.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Christian
on
told
this
you.
podcast. Yes, thank
Yeah.
you. Thank you.
Well,
Yeah.
I have something better than a flight stick. It's called dignity. So I don't.
Wow. Wow.
Bro.
Shots
Bro.
shots fired, but in the wrong direction.
Yeah, I just covered the ears of my flight stick. He didn't mean that. He didn't mean it. Dude, but it's so fun and awesome. Like, I'm playing story mode, and I feel like fucking Poe Dameron, because in the new Star Wars movies, or the
Let me stop you there, dude. You're not Poe Dameron.
bro.
But go on.
When I blast an A-wing out of the sky in my TIE fighter,
Yeah.
and I swivel around and I blast his pilot that was following me, his wingmate who was following me, I feel fucking epic as shit.
Maybe
but
maybe Porkins with Red Leader, Red Leader 4 or something.
yeah.
Oh my god. Man, speaking of old Jack Porkins here, I think last week I was talking about how I rewatched the prequel trilogy. Didn't have a great time with that, with the commentary tracks.
Oh,
But
yeah.
I watched the first Star Wars movie, A New Hope, and I watched the 4K 77, the 35 millimeter fan made version with no digital noise reduction, like the original audio. It was like watching the movie in a theater in 1977, man. And it was probably the best experience I've had watching that movie ever. It was so
Oh,
good.
Wow, dude.
Yeah. And yeah, that attack. Okay, there's no attack run level in Squadrons, which is wild.
That's a problem. Yep.
That's a big problem, dude. Why?
Yeah.
That's like the whole. That's like
It's
the
the
biggest
thing.
scene.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
The thing.
That's
Yeah.
what you want to do. Yeah.
But when I was playing through the story mode, it felt a little bit. I didn't get very far in it, but it felt a little bit like Battlefront 2's story mode, where you have somebody, they try to switch sides, like they want the player to play on both sides, the Empire and the Rebels. So they always have this thing they do in these games where somebody defects from the Empire and then they switch over and then you get to play on the other side.
Yeah.
I feel like that's a very common thing. Plus, I feel like they don't have the balls to make a game where you play as a bad guy. Like they just won't do it.
Yeah.
They got to have like that arc.
Yeah.
Sorry, Christian. Back with your story.
No,
You're Poe Dameron. You're in the shit.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. Oh, how could I forget? I'm Poe Dameron. I'm in the shit. And in this game, there's boosting. So obviously you get your booster engines, you go extremely fast. And then there's drifting. So in the new Star Wars movies is the only time I've seen drifting combat. And you do that in this game. And it's just so satisfying to pull like a 180 on the person following you because you fucking boosted exactly properly, and it's difficult to time. So when you get it properly, it's good. I blew Bobby out of the sky so many fucking times on a boost turnaround. It's
So are you
unbelievable.
talking about the boost or a drift? Because it said drift was the shift key. And then playing through the single player today, I finally realized, oh, there's an actual boost, at least on an X-Wing.
Oh,
Like you can charge up the boost.
I was only
But
told, or how I've been playing is I have to boost to drift. My boost button doesn't work because it's on my flight stick. It's the same button as boost. I just have to hold it down so I'm boosting.
maybe boost and drift is like the same thing that we're talking about here. I feel like that's like the same button or something. I don't know.
I mean, that's how it is in Mario Kart. You have to boost. You have to drift to boost, but I don't know if that's
Yeah.
the way
Mhm.
it works. But that is sick, you right? Because that's the only way that X-wings can match the maneuverability of a Tie Fighter, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I got to I didn't get very far in the story mode either, Bobby. I got to the I think mission 6, which is the first Imperial mission after the prologue. And we suit up my squad and me because TIE fighters don't have hyperspace capability. So we attach to like this tiny mothership. We exit out of hyperspace. There's a tiny mothership to my left, tiny mothership to my right. All the TIE fighters drop at the same time and we swarm the rebel base. Bro, I was in it. You're like, it's an immersive, such an immersive game. And it's kind of a shame that it only has like 400 or so people playing it right now. Like the online feels kind of dead. So
Yeah, it took us forever to get into a game. There's just not a whole lot of people playing this. I feel like it's a little prohibitive because it doesn't play too well on a keyboard and mouse. And I don't know, man. People just don't like um like I said about Battlefront 2, the Starfighter mode is the least played mode. Like you'll sit in there, you'll sit in queue for like 15 minutes and maybe get a game. So I don't know, man. People just don't like playing these on PC, I guess,
Hmm.
which is probably why it's on sale so low.
yeah, $2. Emilio, if you would have joined us, what role would you have fit in our squadron? Because this game is kind of more like a MOBA. There's a DPS, there's a tank, there's a support character, and then there's kind of like a flex that's good at destroying capital ships. What Star Wars ship speaks to you? I feel
The
like you're a
flex is that
B-wing.
like is that like yeah? I was gonna say B-wing.
Yeah, that is the flex role. Yeah.
Something kind of weird. The, the is that like the bomber that's in what is the new movies? They had bombers in that one.
Oh, those
Remember that
did
one?
kind of look like B-wings, but I think there's something else. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
maybe something like that. I'm
Okay.
always a little bit off.
Kilter.
I like to take the worst thing and try to make it good, and then fail, and then hate myself for it.
Dude,
Um,
Emilio's the Millennium Falcon. He's coming out
Speaking of the
12th
Millennium
hour.
Falcon, I was on Reddit and there's this short video of a cat that's trying to kill this mouse, and the mouse jumps on the cat, and the cat can't find the mouse because it's stuck to him, right?
Just like that.
And so, yeah, so the first comment is Millennium Falcon stuck to the Superstar Destroyer.
That's awesome. Okay, well, Star Wars Squadrons, I would recommend anyone pick this up for $2, play through the campaign. We had a lot of fun when some people from the community joined us and we went head to head with some other randoms that we met in game. So I still think it's worth picking up. Bobby, would you recommend without well, if you have a flight stick, it's a no-brainer, pick it up. But without a flight
Oh
stick,
man.
Well, it's Dignity or this game, apparently.
true, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, man. It's just I think the game itself is good, but that whole EA thing was so terrible. So Rusty Bagel joined when Christian and I had already started, and he went through the same exact problem. The game starts out in an incredibly large resolution, so half of this happens with a lot of games. Like half the stuff is off your screen, you can't even see it. So he's trying to adjust the resolution, and he doesn't know the key that you have to hit to apply the setting that he just made because it's off screen. But fortunately, I had been through that before, and I was able to walk him through it. But yeah, it's that's kind of stuff. Just it really annoys me. Another thing. So in our everybody knows the lotion, right? Big part of our community. So we're playing. And he starts giving me some shit because apparently when I was playing on the Empire side, I was playing as a black guy, and I was like, I didn't even know I had chosen that character. But then,
Sure, dude.
yeah, no, I mean, I had done up my rebel character in like a cool 70s look, but then when I switched to the other side, it gave me a random one. Um, and I mean, I should probably explain that Lotion is African American, so he loves to he loves to give me shit about that stuff. But it made me realize there are like no people of color in the Empire, right? Like I started thinking back to all the Star Wars movies, and I'm
Moff
like, they're all
Gideon from The Mandalorian.
okay. Maybe I don't know. I feel like they're all British too,
well,
but
the
Yeah.
new Stormtrooper Finn. Well, I guess that's not the Empire, but
yeah, but he defected.
But even then, even the First Order is kind of like, I think what they're going for is kind of like a whole Third Reich kind of thing.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, it's
Yeah.
like
I mean, that's
a
the
like a
whole.
pure race type of thing. And again, when I was watching Star Wars, there's that scene where they bring Chewie into the detention block, and he's like, "What is this thing?" So
Yeah.
there's like definitely something going on there with the Empire. Like they're trying to do a little ethnic cleansing. I feel
Yeah,
like.
they don't hire aliens either.
they don't hire aliens. No.
Except for Admiral Thrawn,
The
because he's so
Chiss.
exceptional,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. And they
Yeah.
do have the TIE Defender in this game, which is the one designed in coordination with the Chiss, like Admiral Thrawn's people. And I haven't seen that in a video game until now, and I think that's really cool that they included that. Yeah. Yeah.
Click on the link that I put on X-Wing.
Ooh, a scavenger hunt. Clicking.
Yeah. So at the National Air and Space Museum, they have an X-Wing on display now. I think I don't know how long, if it's a limited time or whatever, but yep, it's there.
Wow, it looks so big. I would love to see one up close, like a 1-to-1 mock-up model. That looks cool.
They have one at Star Wars Land or whatever.
It's on my list. You know,
Yeah.
me, the baby, Rianne,
You can
Emilio.
go when the baby's 2. You can go.
Okay.
I think
Like legally
2 virgin
or
on 3. No,
Right.
just like it'll make more sense,
okay.
than
Yeah.
going when she's 1. Anyway, less child rating, more video games. Hades 2. Now, I feel unqualified to review this. First of all, I only played for 45 minutes, so it's not a review. But I did read some long form reviews about it, and I have a little bit to say about it. But why don't we have the GOAT? Why don't we have the master on here, Christian? Why is Rianne, who has how many hours put in?
She 100%ed Hades. I don't know how many. I could have looked before. 350 at least, 400. Like
Yeah.
the only game she played for a long time. Would you look at Michelangelo's David if half of it was still ensconced in stone? Would that be like an appropriate way to treat a masterpiece? Just waiting till something is half finished?
No, I understand, because I had the same reservations, because I was like, okay, so most likely my progress is going to get wiped. And we should explain this. It's in early access.
Yes.
But it's 97% positive reviews. When I bought it, it was $30, maybe $27.99. Maybe there was a 10% sale. I don't remember. But I was like, yeah, I know I'm gonna 100% buy this, so let me just get that discount. And then I don't care. Like, I'm not gonna go balls deep, as it were. I'm
Just
just
a
gonna
little taster.
a little taster, a little skimming. I mean, I want to play it right now, and I probably will, but I'm not going to lose my soul on this. I don't have time for that anyway.
Right.
Speaking of losing my soul, I'm going to go back a little bit. Bobby, when you were talking about the resolution being off, some games do the opposite. They come up on a little tiny window. Yeah, like especially like small, like indie titles will just have this tiny little window, and you can see everything clearly, but it's like 1/5 of your screen. Slice and does that so much, but I'm dying to play Slice and Dice so much. I just play it like that for half an hour, and then I realize I haven't. It's crazy, dude. It drives me nuts in all other games, but in this one, I'm like, click, 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 click.
I played Slice and Dice for a little bit, and I was like, "Oh, I get it. This is dangerous." Yeah,
yeah, it's dangerous. Anyway, a little bit of my experience and a little bit of what I read. So, Let's see. You play as Melini Melanimoe Moe. I don't. I think I
I don't
spelled
know
it
how to
wrong
say
here.
it either.
No, I think I spelled it wrong here. I think I
Okay.
fucked myself.
How you have it
It,
here is Melimoe.
yeah,
Melimo.
yeah, that's not it.
Okay.
I don't think there's that. Fuck, Millennial or something like that. Anyway, so she's a little bit more serious than her brother Zagreus. So far, she's doesn't. He would like playfully banter, and she's a little more like the straight man. While the people in her dungeon are kind of a little bit crazier. Like she has some crazy characters in there. It's not the same room, thank God. It's another place. It's like a secret hidden area. You're not fighting Hades this time. You're fighting one of the Titans. Um, and you're trying to avenge your brother and your father, Hades, and so I guess they died at some point. I don't know the story. More things to unlock there. She plays a little more deliberate than he does. He's kind of very slice and dice, um, attack, zip, zap, zoom, and she you have to think about what you're doing with her a little more. There's something called omega attacks now, so you have all your regular things that you used to do, but now you have the option to hold down the attack button, which will do a stronger attack. But if you hold it all the way up to its omega level, it'll do like a special version, and that will take away from your mana. So now you have a new resource that you have to watch. I think the mana comes back every room, but I'm not 100% on that. I'm still not sure exactly how you get mana back all the time. It seems to happen sometimes, sometimes it doesn't. So that's another thing you have to watch for and think of. I got the second weapon, and it attacks faster, but the abilities all seem to be the same as the staff.
Hmm.
So I was like, that's kind of odd. Um, your relationship with the gods are a little bit different. They seem to be a little more friendly with you. Maybe it was because it was the first few, like I got the first four or something like that. But yeah, they kind of mix them all up. They do the same things that they used to do, but they maybe a different god has a certain different one.
Did you meet
That
any
makes
new
any sense.
gods, or were they the same cast and crew?
So far, I mean, it's all the ones that you
Okay. Yeah.
remember. I thought it would be cool if you got to if Hades would, but he's not on the list. I saw the list.
Right.
And then it does so well that let me just play this one more time. Let me play this one more time. I was
So it
falling
still
asleep.
hooks you. It's got you.
It totally hooks you. And this was more in the review that I read, but he was saying how sometimes in Hades you're like, oh, I didn't get all the best stuff. This is a doomed run. Like, why even play this out?
Right.
And he said after 40 hours he had no runs that felt that way.
Wow.
So yeah, it seems like you always have a chance, and that's the ultimate problem with roguelikes. You sometimes you just play them until you get that god run, and then you talk about that god run for the next 2 days, and then you go back to the grind, right?
Yeah.
But if you can make it so that doesn't happen, that's the biggest flaw. Well, it also has its upsides, but it is a flaw as well, because who doesn't want to have fun for 2 days for one run of fun, you know? I would rather have a bunch of not crazy runs, for them to be enjoyable, all of them, than to have a super good one whenever.
Well, for the original Hades, I thought it was awesome how dynamic the runs were based on the powers that you got. Like I never felt, or after a while, like I could recognize what the boons were and which ones I wanted. But a lot of the time, I was like, "Oh, cool! I can mix with this, and it's still fun, even though it's not like I guess optimal. It was at least new and
Right.
exciting." So
Yeah, I guess this game excels in that, according to this guy from IGN. Anyway,
okay.
so yeah, fucking Hades 2. Bobby, tell me about Animal Well, because this thing has exploded since last episode.
Yeah, it's apparently a very popular game. We should probably mention we're moving to On the Radar, so games that have caught our attention. Yeah, we need a little sound effect. So, Animal Well is this super popular Metroidvania puzzle platformer by a solo developer, Billy Basso. And I think the reason that it's getting so much Basso, I don't know.
It's just that whole sentence was
Yeah.
quite the tongue
It was,
twister.
yeah.
Yeah.
I think this game is so popular because it was published by Big Games, or what's the name of the publisher? It's the publishing company by Video Game Donkey, which I'm not really familiar with this person, but I know he's a big internet personality that a lot of people follow. So I think that's what's getting a lot of eyes on this game. And it's really difficult to tell by looking at it what's so special about this game. It's like $25 or somewhere around there. I think it's on sale for 22.50. You look at it and it's the minimum requirements for this game are like a one gigahertz processor, one gig of RAM. The disk space is like 100 megs or something. It's ridiculously low. The graphics look pretty but simple. It's pixelated and the lighting is very cool, but nothing like outstanding or special. So I poured through the reviews trying to figure out, why is this game getting such good reviews and why is there so many of these reviews? Like, a lot of people are picking this game up and a lot of people are really liking it. And the phrases I kept seeing over and over again were attention to detail and secrets. So I don't know. It's not. I watched a little bit of gameplay to try to get a better grasp on it. There's really not a lot of combat in it, or very little at all. It really focuses on the puzzles and the exploration. So this might just be one of those games that's really hard to describe, but it is really good. So I'm very curious about this one. Um,
Yeah.
might check it out. Not a huge Metroidvania guy, although like Super Metroid's one of my all-time favorite games. So I mean, like I do really like games in that genre, but I'm just not a huge fan of the genre itself. So I don't know. I might check this one out.
Sweet. I played this game, a really early version, perhaps, but at PAX West they were showcasing this on the floor. I was walking around with a guy who loves Metroidvanias. I, of course, I can't even remember the last one I played, so not my most popular genre. But I sat down and I played it, and everyone around me was having a great time. The developers or whoever was running the floor booths were talking to people, engaging one on one, pointing things out on the screen. And the lineup to play this game was super long. So I think you're exactly right that Video Game Donkey has properly built a lot of hype around this title, because even before it came out, there was lineups to play it at PAX. So, Bobby, I can't remember the last time you did play Metroidvania. I at least talked about it on this podcast. Do you
No, I
remember the last
can.
time?
Yeah, it was a game that Emilio and I played not together, but we both played it. Hollow Knight. I think that was the last time I played a Metroidvania, and I was like, "Yeah, this game is good," but I have no interest in continuing playing it after that week. Um, that being said, there was another. Oh God, I forgot it now. There was another Metroidvania game that I played and not that long ago that I did really enjoy. So
Dust, the Legend Tale. That's a long time ago, but I
I
think
don't think that's a Metroidvania. That's like a pretty straightforward
is it?
side scroller.
Hmm.
Yeah, not really. There's no exploration in that. But I don't know. I think that eh, the vibe that I was getting from this game was Undertale. Remember Undertale? Like, that
Mhm.
game came out and everybody was just like, "Damn, I didn't know you could make games like this." Like, it just kind of turned everything on its head. There's so many places in that game where it kind of stopped and went a different direction, or gave the player the opportunity to take the game in a different direction. And like, we just totally weren't used to that. I don't know. I just kind of get the same feeling from this game, but I feel like it's one of those ones that I'll have to actually play before I can accurately describe it.
I'm excited for you to
Yeah.
play it, dude. And for
Oh, you're
the
gonna play it, Bobby? He said.
I'm thinking about it. We'll see.
Cool, man. I
I
hope you
mean,
do.
maybe after May, after all
After
our
Star Wars is
games.
over.
It
For
definitely
the
looks fucking sweet, man.
for
Like a
the uninformed,
retro.
for the
Go ahead.
uneducated, what is the difference between a Metroidvania and a side platformer? I guess is it the exploration component?
Generally, you'll have a maze-like structure, kind of like a beehive. It's kind of like a central,
It's like a cross section, like an
yeah,
ant farm.
like an ant farm, yeah, like a branching ways, and then you'll run into a barrier, and you won't be able to get
Yeah, it's
through
very
that barrier
non-linear.
until you backtrack and go get a new ability that, like a double jump. You'll never be able to get over that wall until you get double jump. Then you get double jump, you go back to that wall. So there's a little bit of like, the problem with Metrovanias is, for me, is I have to play them all the way through the first or second time, because you
Right.
forget all the links that you're trying
Yeah.
to do.
It's very difficult to re-enter that type of game if you take a long break because you don't know where you left off. It's not like, okay, I'm at this save point and I need to go that way, and the rest of the game is that way. It's like, no, the levels are very sprawling. But
Bobby, what's the pinball one? Yoku's Island Express?
maybe I
Something
didn't play that one. I think you did.
something Island Express. Christian, I think you'll like that one. It's a Metrovania, but it's you play pinball. It's
Yeah,
fucking great.
You talked about that one. You said it was really good. I've
Yeah.
never played that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Goose Island Express. That
Pulling it
one
up
I think was
here.
pretty well reviewed too.
Yeah. I think you'll like it.
96%
I know you
on
have enough
Steam.
games. Yeah. I think you have enough games on your list, but
Oh my
anyway.
god, yeah, totally.
Go ahead.
All right, go. No, not me. It's you. It's all you, baby.
Well, I feel kind of like stepping on Rian's toes for Hades. I'm stepping on Nick's toes here for Akuma. He has a tattoo of the character on his calf, and it's not. It's pretty cool tattoo. It's half the face of Akuma and half the face of M. Bison. So he has a bunch of bad guys, I think, tattooed on himself. But yeah, so this is his guy, and I don't think he's going to be disappointed. I mean, he looks pretty mean. So a little bit of Street Fighter history here. In original Street Fighter 2, he would Ryu, when he wins, sometimes would say, "You can never, you can't stand up to my Shanglong punch," and people started rumors, and Shanglong was his master, and that you could play as his master if you did a certain thing, but it was all bullshit. It never happened in Street Fighter 2. But rumors grow and stuff, and fucking got to Capcom, and they started talking about it, and then I think it was Street Fighter 2 Turbo or something, Super Street Fighter 2, I think. They put in Akuma, which is the man who killed Shanglong, which is Ryu and Ken's master. So he is the Ryu's, trying to be the best fighter in the world, or Ryu. Sorry for those. It depends where you grew up, I think. But he's trying to be the best fighter of all time, which he also kind of like flirts with the dark side, because like if he lets himself go all the way to the darkness, he gets much more powerful, but he loses his soul. Akuma is the epitome of that. He doesn't care about his soul. He just wants to dominate everybody. So he's
turned to the dark side.
Yeah, he's turned to the dark side. I mean, he's far gone. There is no turning him back. He loves it too. He doesn't. He doesn't question his choices, and so he is always super fucking powerful. He can do everything. He can throw a triple fireball. He can throw air fireballs. He can fly in the air. He can flip. He can slide. He's got abilities that everybody has, and he does tons of damage per hit. But the downside is he takes a tremendous amount of damage, so you can kill him pretty easily. He's a glass cannon, basically, but you have to be highly skilled. The skill ceiling is very high for him as well. So it's a cool ability, but they take him too far. A lot of times he's banned in tournaments in a lot of different Street Fighters. But as far as fun wise and killing somebody with the Raging Demon, which if you watch this video that I linked here, um, it doesn't seem like they're gonna play the Raging Demon. It fades to black, and then you're like, oh fuck, you didn't get to the Raging Demon, and then it comes back, and then you see the Raging Demon, which is an ability nobody else has in Street Fighter. It's a throw. It's like a teleport throw super move. Nobody has anything like it, I don't think, in the whole game. And now it looks so fucking sick. It's awesome. Yeah, I think they did a good job with him. We'll see when he comes out. I'm sure to balance a character like this, it's very hard. You're intentionally making an OP character, and so it takes a lot of work and finagling to get him dialed in. But yeah, coming out soon. And that's the last character for the first year of Street Fighter 6. And I think the game continues to be a success.
Fun.
Yep,
But is it as fun as trying to get Bobby to pronounce the title of this game before I say it? Do your best.
Memoriapolis?
Memoriapolis.
Nailed
Okay.
Nailed it.
I was going to say Memoriapolis, but I think that adds an extra A.
It does.
It very it does. Also, I rule. You suck. This is by a French team, so maybe it's supposed to be Memoriapoli, but it is an aesthetic city builder, which you take a group from antiquity to enlightenment. I say aesthetic because it's very beautiful. There's kind of this like isometrical, well lit artwork. It kind of reminds me of the starting credits for Game of Thrones. You know, when you see the different cities get grown all over Westeros.
Can I cut in for a second?
Of course.
So watching the beginning of that, right? And I broke up with my ex-girlfriend because she was so dumb, dude. She was so dumb. And we're watching the beginning of this, and she looks at me and she's like, so Westeros, that's like in Italy, right? And I'm like, what do you mean? She's like, well, this is from a long time ago. I know it's not real because there's dragons, but like Westeros is in Italy, like our Italy, and then this is. I was like, you're saying like kind of like that line form? She goes, no, like this is supposed to be back on our planet, and I'm like, shut up. Let's watch the show, dude.
Oh no, that poor woman. In some ways it's cool because she had the whole world to explore and find new things in, maybe so late in life. So
She's got a YouTube channel now trying to find like artifacts of Westeros.
Each age that you play through in this game, the developers say introduce different mechanics to manage. So the examples they gave was the Black Death, Riots, Revolution, and you play through 4 ages. So it sounds like there's like a boss in each of these ages. They talked a lot about focusing on replayability with random historical encounters and like trade-off decisions. Kind of reminded me a bit of Frostpunk with the things that were popping up on the trailer. One of the events was the fall of Constantinople, and whether you support it or you think that it should be retaken. And the decisions that you make affect the aesthetics of your city, but also like the resource production. So it's not really a city builder because the city itself is just algorithm generated based on decisions that you make. So I think that's cool. I haven't.
So it's like a city builder where the city builds itself.
Yeah, and what I was looking, you can set different districts. Like, oh, I want farming over here. If you get a farming decision pop up, but you can't like place down individual buildings or houses or roads or anything like that. So it kind of.
I mean, it's kind of like how it would be.
True. Yep.
Yeah.
It looks like a European city. The screenshots they have like over rivers, and of course there's beautiful bridges that connect all the different parts. So it seems like whatever the algorithm is doing makes it look really nice. And you're not competing against anyone else. You are competing against yourself or your people's needs. So it's not like a Civ or anything like that where it's got that competitive nature.
My confusion here is there a lot of micromanaging or not a lot? Because on one side, it sounds like you're just making major decisions, but then I'm seeing a lot of data on the screen. So, do you know?
Yeah. No, I don't. Through the trailers, it seemed like you were really zoomed out. You make a decision, and your city naturally organizes itself around that decision. But there is all these different resources, and the UI has a lot of buttons on it. So I don't know. There was a playtest in Discord, which I missed, but the game has not released yet. It's going to release in early access, and it just looks cool, and I thought it was worth bringing up. Add it to my wish list, and I really do want to play this one when it comes out. Uh, any interest by you guys?
I mean, if I was going to play a city builder, this looks like a good one to play. But
Yeah, for sure. Especially if it's just like major decisions and not micromanaging. That's where I get lost. I don't get lost, but it's just like I don't want to work. You
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I like this idea of more aesthetic based ones, like just play for the beauty of like civilizations and the way they grow and stuff.
Yeah.
This one seems a little more on the technical side, but there's some that are just like drag and drop, and everything forms to the topography of the area. I've played a few of those games. They're relaxing and nice.
Yes. Yeah. Like raking a Japanese garden or whatever,
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
like
yeah.
therapeutic. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, so MEMORIAPOLIS by 5 p.m. It's on my list. And yeah, I joined the Discord and they have everything in French at first. And that caught me off guard. I was like, what the heck? Been a while since I joined a Discord from a Steam page and was greeted with only French. So yeah.
There's always a story of like how the dev name came up. This one I think is like, okay, they probably worked together, and then after 5 they fucking started working, on their side project. That's my guess. I don't know. But
Oh,
pa-
yeah, yeah. Yeah.
yeah, Powerhoof, which is who cares? They're a developer. They used to like push all their desks into a big U, so they could all face each other when they would land after work, and it
Yeah.
was like it looked like a hoof, so they call themselves the Power Hoof.
That's
Yeah,
cool.
yeah.
Ah, now I want to
They
know the
made
origins of more dev names.
they made totally normal basketball, totally normal human basketball. Do you remember that, Bobby? Where you don't play as
yeah,
yeah, it's
yeah, I
you play as
do.
two giant mechs playing basketball against each other. It's
Yeah.
micromanaging. Yeah. Anyway,
Cool. Okay, well, that's everything that is on our radar this week. And now we're moving on to Guess That Sound, which, guys, we have received the best first guess of a Guess That Sound maybe ever. But before we get into that, Berkham J won the last guess our sound. He got $110 after months of people guessing. He got it. So I asked him, "What did you get with this $110?" And there's a list. He got Buckshot Roulette, Near Automata, Divinity Original Sin 2, Dark Void Zero, and Flock. Just because they were going to get delisted, he says. Oh, and Immortals of Avium. And he still has $50
jeez.
left.
Wow.
Did he just went crazy on a sale or what? And he says with the remaining 50, he might pick up Ghost of Tsushima, and he's thinking about Manor Lords. Don't think about it. Just pull the trigger, dude. So it's fun, this Steam money that we're gifting out. We're spreading the love of video games. Emilio is basically Santa Claus. He just has to get a little bit more of a grayer beard.
Yep.
Yeah. There is $25 in the pot this week. I add $5 for every wrong guess. You can email pixelshitshow@gmail.com to guess. Patrons get 2 guesses. And this is the new sound that you are guessing. Now, there's a lot of things going on in that sound. The past sound, I think, was 2.5 seconds long. This one, I don't know how long. It's long, 7 seconds maybe. And I'm looking for a specific answer. This week, ScramTX sent in a guess. He says, FTL, faster than light. It is the sound. Do you notice this very authoritative voice? It is the sound. He says it is the sound. It is the sound of the cloaking engagement. Then we hear a weapon getting fully charged, the tiny blip. Then after the pause is the sound of the cloak disengaging. Guys, what do you think about this guess?
I mean, he's
So specific. I
Yeah.
mean, and you know, when I read that and I remembered the sound from last week, I thought that that sounded right. But now that I hear it again, this doesn't sound quite like that. So Faster Than Light, or FTL, it was like a top down game. I feel like the sound wasn't really directional. This sounds like it's coming from an actual 3D environment, if that makes any sense. So I don't know. I was kind of
Interesting.
confident about that going in, but then when I just heard the sound, I'm backtracking.
Okay, Emilio, thoughts?
confidently incorrect.
Confidently incorrect. All right. Scram, drum roll. Blah, 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 blah. Did you get it?
Oh,
First fucking guess. And guys, this is the exact thing I was looking for. They needed to say the game, FTL, obviously. They needed to say cloak getting engaged. They needed to say a weapon getting charged in the middle of the cloak being engaged. They needed to say the cloak disengaging. That's what we hear at the end. That is all that's going on in this clip, and Scram got it all. And I saw this fucker after our episode came out on Tuesday playing FTL, and then I got the guess in the inbox, and I'm like, he knows. He went in there, he fucking tried some shit out, and he found the sound. So Scram, congratulations. We'll send you the $25 as soon as possible. You got it, and no hints this time, and I'll do better. The next sound, it's going to be better, guys. It's going to be better.
I feel like that one was pretty hard, man.
Yeah.
I'm surprised. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you did fine, Christian. And we couldn't drag out another. I mean, this is a little fast, but we didn't want to drag out another one. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's true. It is fun when someone gets it so quickly. Yeah, great guess, Scram.
Good job. I love fucking Scram, man. He's a good dude.
Subs and donos, Emilio? Do we have any?
Can somebody else do this? I'm doing something else.
Okay.
All right. Yeah, we've got Atom subscribing for, you wrote 2 months, but I'm pretty sure I saw 9.
Let's go with 9. That sounds a lot better.
Let's go with 9.
Yeah.
That's a baby right there. 9 months. He says, should I change my name to Wet Climb Axe?
Yeah. And you have to listen to the pre-show on Twitch to see me struggle with what the fuck this is. It's just kind of embarrassing. Thanks for the sub, Tom.
Yeah, we appreciate it. All right, time for listener questions.
You betcha.
Got some LQs here. We got a few of them this week. The first one is not a question, but this is from OSS. He says, not a question, but the answer to Emilio's elevator game question is heavy barrel. So a week or two. Okay, so that was the one. And I've linked a video there. You can take a look if you want. But a week or two ago, you were struggling to find, we were talking about the Deep Rock Galactic season that's coming up, and they're going to have that drill elevator. And we talked about how games always have that elevator level. And you said there was one game that was just nothing but an elevator level.
Yeah.
And it was Heavy Barrel, which looked like a Nintendo game, or was that? It must have been.
It was
Nintendo.
arcade, and then it came to Nintendo.
Okay. Yeah.
Heavy Barrel. You know, you were back in the day. You had one voice line, and that would impress you. Like you're like, oh, it speaks. You know.
The game looked good, man. I watched the gameplay, and I was like, man, I kind of want to play this game now.
Yeah, I really liked it. So you're playing like a Akari Warriors type game. Fuck, most people don't even know what I'm talking about. But like a top-down like shooter, and then as you're playing randomly, I'm gonna say there's no RNG. You pick up parts for the heavy barrel, and then once you have 5 or 6 parts, you put it together, and then you're like OP for like however much time.
You can see a pretty good game design for such an old game.
Yeah.
All right. Next question is from Sheer Ponage. He says, for those playing Manor Lords, aside from bug fixes, what future content would you like to see released and developed?
I read this as Sheer Ponage. That's wrong.
No, it's definitely Ponage. Yeah. I don't think anyone really uses that term anymore, but that was a pretty big
getting pwned?
Pretty big slam back in the day.
Yeah, getting pwned. Yeah.
Oh.
Christian, I'm gonna just whenever pronunciation ever comes up, I'm gonna need you to just be humble.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, that's probably good advice. Yeah.
I don't know, man. I don't know. Because Emilio, we've all given up on correcting you when you say remnant. So I don't
Oh,
know if you should be casting the first stone here.
no, for sure.
Although I think that is like if you speak Spanish or Italian, you kind of throw in those extra syllables. I got a buddy at work who can't say malware. He says malware, malware every time, man. It cracks me up.
That's my excuse with Dekel. Anyways, Manor Lords, so sheer whatever. Listen to last episode. I have a Christmas list, but basically the big things were crusades or whatever seasonal events that force your whole town to react to a situation, and some sort of mechanic like if a crusade is coming, oh, now I have to prepare 100 swords for the king because he needs those resources. I guess like mini timed events, and then just more resources and artisans in general. I would like to see a greater diversity of those people occupy the homes. I would like the people who make the bows. All they need to make the bows are planks. I don't think that's very immersive because where's the string? You know, how are we gonna flesh our arrows with no string in our bows? The string just magically appears. I can't believe this. I can't believe these things. So more resources in the game and more artisans to use those resources.
All right. I'm trying to remember what Nick said too about that. I feel like there were some things that he wanted to see, but he's not here, so too bad.
Too bad.
Yeah.
Next question is from Cricket Soldier, and this one again references something from a few weeks ago. So we were talking at one point about how cool it would be, how you'd fantasize as a kid of going back to a battle with like a machine gun or something, taking out a whole army. So Cricket Soldier asks, remember when you were talking about Kingmaker being everyone's fantasy as a kid to go back in time with modern weaponry and fight in battles? Are there any other fantasies you think you had that would make for an epic game? Leisure Suit Larry is already a game, Emilio. He directs that one directly at you.
You know, it's so funny. It's like, so it's like a fantasy, right? Or whatever. And you go back, let's say you're in full SWAT gear with a M16. You go back to a medieval fight and you kill your first person and throw up in your mask and get killed. You know what I mean? Like, just because you have this modern weaponry doesn't mean you're a warrior. Like, you're used to killing people. Like, I don't think it would work out very well. Like, oh my God, I killed somebody.
You're perched up on the hill of Thermopylae. You have a Barrett 50 cal, but you can't hit one fucking Persian.
Yeah, totally. It breaks your collarbone when you pull the trigger.
You're dislocated. You die just in the field, not a part of the battle.
Ooh, you know, I always thought that like watching that battle would be, if I had a time machine, it would be that battle. But recently I was listening to another episode of Rogan, and it really is. It's listening to, I mean, it's watching the pyramids get built, right? It's got to be. Like, how the fuck?
Probably took a long time, dude. You might be sitting there for
That's
a
the
while.
problem. What point do you, like, when, I guess when they make the King's Chamber, which is the biggest box. Anyway.
You know, I can't think of like anything that I would want to, like anything that doesn't exist yet, but I feel like Guitar Hero really made us all feel like rock stars for a minute there.
Yeah.
Like, that game really was just for people who had no musical talent, you could feel like you were really rocking out.
Yeah, that's a good one. Guys, I live in the bountiful garden of my childhood fantasies. When I was little, I made like dams and shit out of water on my street, out of like mud or snow, and I would love to watch the puddles grow big, and then I'd make like a structure downstream and try to make it really sturdy out of like rocks and stuff, and then I'd release all the water and see if what I made was worthy. That's like most of the games I play, you know, like talking about wave survival and stuff. Also pretending that I'm in an X-Wing or a pod racer. Now I can just do that because there's these immersive games. So, yeah, lucky.
I will say, so I don't know if it was a fantasy, but it's just so before fuck it, I was around. I was a kid before Game Boy, and then Game Boy came out. That was huge. But before Game Boy came out, I've talked about this before. I would like do a random line down the right side of a piece of paper and a random line down the left side of the piece of paper, and those would be cliffs. And then I would arm those cliffs with weaponry, and then the two cliffs would fight each other, and then inevitably one side would win. But it was RNG, right? Because whoever could, like, whichever side had more side for heavy weaponry would win.
Right.
And so, and then eventually, there's a couple of games that were kind of like that. I never played them, but I remember somebody put it on the radar, and I was like, "That's my IP."
Yeah, your IP. Am I getting royalties? Where are they being sent? That's cool.
All right. Next question from Zap. Thoughts on what to do with a functioning but outdated PC?
Take a shit in it. Sorry. I don't know.
If you don't need the money, donate it to not a kid in need, but a kid that like is like somebody that's really into Fortnite, that plays it on a console and is ready to make that leap. There's a lot of people that think they're super badass on Fortnite, and they're playing it on console, and they're good or whatever, but they watch Ninja. They're kids. They watch these people, and all the pro players are playing on PC. So a lot, I've because I know two in my life right now that want to make that leap to PC, but they have no idea what they're doing, and I don't have the time to show them. But if I had an extra PC, I would just give it to them, and be like, figure it out, kid, sink or swim.
Good cause.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, if you have someone to give it away to, that would be great, like a younger kid. I parted out and sold all the stuff from my old PC, most of it what I could sell. I don't think I'd go through that headache again. That was just like a lot of work, and I don't know if it was really worth the money. I didn't really.
How
make
valuable
that much
is your time, Bobby? That's what it comes down to.
Yeah.
To yourself.
I mean, I don't know. I guess I felt like in for a penny, in for a pound, because just doing a new build was just a lot of time in general. So, I mean, the selling of the stuff added to it, but at the same time, like I sold my fans. I don't know why. I mean, they were good fans, but I sold those, and the guy like emailed me back and was like, two of them kind of make a whining sound, and I always use the low voltage cable, so I never ran them at full speed. So I was like, all right, dude, I'll take like half off the price. But it was just like stuff like that. Like I don't want to deal with eBay sellers or people buying stuff off of eBay and all that headache. But yeah, man, I don't know. Like I had an idea of also using that I ended up building an entirely new PC for a NAS, but I thought about using it for that. But then you got to factor in, is it worth the electricity? Like you're adding like how much a month to your electricity bill, and especially if it's like an old gaming PC, that's probably going to use up a lot more than you need. Like something, if you're just going to use it as like a media server, then you probably don't need that much.
By the way, Bobby, I started not turning my PC off because of like you were kind of like humble bragging about leaving yours on for over multiple years, and I was like, oh, I'll just leave mine on. The difference between it, there's a noticeable difference in the electricity. We have the highest electricity bill or rates in the country in San Diego, California. So it's like $100 a month to leave it on.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's a lot, man. I mean, I use my computer when I'm not at home a lot. I'm always like, it's always doing something for me. I got stuff that runs constantly. I'm remoting into it to do stuff. So, I mean, it's kind of worth it for me. But yeah, man, like
$100 a month to remote in is worth it, but fucking $22 for a flight stick.
I don't think my electricity bill isn't even $100 a month.
Oh, wow.
I mean, I live in a very small place. I don't use up a lot of electricity, but
it's
not
flight stick or
that
dignity
much.
though. So
yeah,
that's
how it is around here. But yeah, man, you got to take that into account. I like that happens like times a million at work when you're dealing with a data center.
Bobby,
It's
can I do a live challenge right now, if you don't mind? Can you please walk over to your refrigerator and tell us what's in it?
That's
I,
random, but I like that. Okay.
I don't think I need to walk over there to tell you. I can tell you
Yeah,
what's in a.
this is true. This is true. There's a reason I did this. Christian, go ahead.
It's my lunch for tomorrow.
Oh, okay.
A sandwich from 7-Eleven, 2 apples, 2 jars of carrots, some pasta sauce that probably needs to be thrown away, and a bunch of water.
Okay.
Yeah. Bobby doesn't. I mean, the biggest. Oh my god. The way you lose the most amount of electricity, use the most amount, is opening your refrigerator over and over. But he has.
Maybe. Well,
Uh,
I had to replace my fridge about a year ago, and I got like the smallest one I could possibly get. Doesn't have an ice maker, like the simplest thing I could possibly find. And I don't know. I don't know if it's made a big deal in my electricity. My electricity bill is like pretty low to begin with, but and like I'm only home like half the time, so I'm not like using a whole bunch. The big killer is if I turn on the heat or the air conditioning, like I guess
yeah,
most people. Like
for
that's
sure.
the biggest difference. All right.
All right.
Duct tape it to your chest, Zap, and then tell everyone you're Iron Man. That is my second suggestion.
I
Well,
like
he's
it.
asking this because he recently built a new PC and he's got pictures of that in the Discord if you want to check it out. Pretty cool
Pretty
case there.
sweet. Pretty
Very,
sweet.
very popular with the new cases now to have the fans like in the back of the case blowing air out, I guess like the side of it. Like if you're looking at it from the front, it'd be on the right side of it. I see that a
Uh,
lot more.
Zap, it's option A or is option B. Do not shit in it and then strap it to your chest. You
Yeah.
want to either one A or B.
Yes.
Hmm.
Red pill or blue pill. Never
Yeah.
never both. What if Neo just like grabbed them both?
Ah!
Put them I love pills. Yeah.
Okay, next question from Morconius. Thoughts on Xbox shutting down those 4 studios? In particular, any fond memories of the games from Arcane Austin and Tango? Arcane Austin was responsible for one of the most immersive sims of all time. Prey is a gem of a game.
Let me tell you that I'm an expert because I read like 6 headlines on this.
Okay.
No articles, but headlines. The most important one being Xbox bought a ton of devs and had no idea what to do with them, and basically mismanaged themselves to fucking they had no idea what they were doing. They were just, we have all this money and resource, let's just use it. And then
even in our chat right now, EA got a bad rap. I mean, Bobby was talking about the tumultuous time to connect to EA, which was kind of a pain in the ass. But this is what we gave them all shit for a long time ago, right? Buy a studio, kill it. All these beloved studios that we loved and people kind of hated EA. It's kind of happening again in a certain way, guys. I don't know if this is true, and I should fact check it. So take it with a grain of salt. But the old CEO of Blizzard, what's that guy's name? Bobby Kotick, right?
Mhm.
yeah,
His exit package, his golden parachute, is $274 million. And someone did the math. That could pay everyone's salary in these 4 shutdown studios for 17 years. So these games that these studios made might not have been the most commercially successful of all time, but they were still making money. These were still profitable games, especially Hi-Fi Rush. They said they made money off that game in interviews. They said, everyone was like, "Oh, how did it do?" And they're like, "Yeah, it did great. We're really happy with it." And now they're shutting down the studio. So it's just super disheartening that making a creative, commercially successful game, your publisher will just still shut you down so they can pay an exit package for an exiting CEO. It's just kind of, those choices don't really make a lot of sense. So those are my thoughts, Warconius.
question, Christian. So I guess it's a case by case thing, but like when a studio gets purchased, you would think a lot the money would go to, I guess it goes to the board, right? Whoever the most important people there, it would be the owner, and then I guess it's up to the owner whether or not he's going to parse that out to all the people that are in there, right? But definitely, it's going to go to the owner. So I guess it's case for case whether or not they got a large lump sum when this thing was purchased. Because a lot of time, a lot of like startups, that's the goal is
To
the
get
exit.
acquired. Yeah.
You get acquired, right? So maybe financially it was like good for a lot or some, or it's all up to the CEO or slash owner.
Yeah.
You would think that in a small studio everybody has a piece of the pie, and I think that's generally how it is. Like everybody has shares because you don't have money when you're a small thing, so you give everybody shares. So I don't know. I don't think it's a disastrous story every time. I
No,
think a lot of these devs walked away with a fat chunk of change.
and that's good. My
Yeah,
concern at the end of the day is people getting paid and having money to support themselves. So, if that is the case, then that's awesome. Maybe
yeah.
no one lost, but I was so angry when I read this.
Definitely people lost.
I
Definitely people lost.
I was angry when I read this because it was just like, I don't know, I just thought it was so stupid. So I frantically was looking at like, are there any workers co-op game dev studios? Like, are there any studios that value the collective, so they set up their corporate structure so that legally everyone has a piece of the pie? It's not just
Isn't
like
that how
some.
Steam is?
I don't know if that's how Steam is. I know they have something funky going on there in New Zealand, but I don't exactly know. But the people who made Dead Cells, that was the example everyone was giving. Their studio is a workers' co-op, so like legally they have to pay out every worker the profits of
Equally.
the game equally. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is a cool idea, but I was surprised it wasn't adopted by more people. Sorry to interrupt you. What were you saying?
No, nothing. I was just gonna say that in Japan, I think the average CEO makes like 3 to 6 times the average worker's salary, and the United States is 350 times the average worker's salary.
Bit of a sad state of affairs. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So but I don't have any fond memories of these games. Did you guys have fond memories? Maybe Prey, I've heard you guys talk about a couple times.
Yeah, I like Prey.
Yeah, I think I mean, the people aren't dead, and they can do what they like. They can break off unless they signed a non compete clause. They can just go and call their best buds and make a new studio and start it all over again. They're not dead. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah, I
for
don't
the
know.
most part, there's bright sides to this.
I don't really get too attached to studios anymore.
Yeah,
I really don't know how it works behind the scenes, but I feel like a lot of people give a lot of weight to a studio, say like Blizzard or something. And it's like, yeah, dude, they made Warcraft 3 like 25 years ago or 20 years ago.
yeah,
But like, those people have left the company or gone on to do other things. Like maybe they still have kind of like the guiding principles and on the development team, but like it's a whole new group of people. There's like a moment in time where you have like a bunch of people in a development studio making a bunch of games like the LucasArts point and click adventure games of the 90s, but then those people leave and then they go make other games. It's I don't know.
yeah. And then you'll see like from the devs who brought you blah blah blah. Like, what are you talking about here? Two people of the 250 it took to make that game?
Right.
Like what
Yeah, I mean it's kind of like
it's not like a director, Bobby. Like you told me this more than anybody else. You're like, find a director you like and just watch that person's movies. And it was like an epiphany for me. I was like, I love all of Danny Boyle's stuff. Love it. Just watch it all and gobble that shit up. But I feel like that doesn't work in PC. Like there's not a direct, sure, there's a game director, but it's not the same thing. It doesn't mean that, God,
there's
making
been a few
games might be
people
the
like
hardest thing.
that. I mean, there's been like a Peter Molyneux or a Ken Levine or these kind of tentpole figures that people rally around. But yeah, it's like it's kind of hard unless you're a solo dev to get that singular vision.
Yeah.
And I think video games is well, AAA video games are much more financially motivated. I mean, I guess with movies too, but I don't know. I feel like
Everything
these
is.
big companies are just kind of like they're looking for that jackpot, right? They're just like
Yeah.
cranking the handle. There's like, all right, we'll take a chance on these studios here. That one did all right. Like it made its money back, but they're looking for that Fortnite or, that World of Warcraft or something.
Dude,
That's really what they're interested in.
I mean, I'm gonna solve PC game or PC. I'm gonna solve gaming right now. I just had an epiphany. So, what was it? We used to have a saying for I struck on genius or something, whatever. Anyway, so what Netflix started to do in their heyday when they were skyrocketing forward was find creators that had a very good idea and just dump money into that one person. So that singular vision became a thing, right? So if like imagine if Microsoft instead of purchasing the guy who did Dave the Diver, they found him early and then just gave him all the funding he needed. And no hands off, like no strings attached here other than the money coming back. But like if you could find talent, passionate talent, single focused uh direction and just dump money into it, and it's like pouring gasoline on a fire if you pick it right. It's like what do you call it? VC and venture capitalist, and I guess in a way. But that's what Netflix was doing for a while, and look where Netflix ended up.
Yeah.
Um,
Phil
they
Spencer, move aside. Emilio
yeah.
Marquez coming up.
The only reason that Netflix is starting to like slope is I think they hit critical mass. Like everybody has Netflix. So where do you go
Yeah, I
from there?
think I don't know. We're getting into the weeds here, but I feel like it kind of became a joke with Netflix. Like comedians, I mean, who doesn't have a stand-up special on Netflix these days? They
Yeah.
just kind of open the door to like anything and everything. But they needed to do something. I mean, remember long ago, Netflix used to just send you movies in the mail. They needed a new strategy, and their best strategy was going digital. And then after that, like as a business, you always have to be doing something new and expanding your business. Like you can't just be like, all right, this is good, we're just going to keep doing this now. So they
No,
made some
my
smart
buggy whips are doing great, dude.
yeah. So they made a really smart decision in making their own content. They wanted
Yeah.
to be it was kind of funny because like HBO was trying to become Netflix and Netflix was trying to become HBO. Like they're
Mm.
both kind of encroaching on each other's market. But I don't know, man. I don't understand a lot of stuff with the industry, but it does suck when people get shifted around, lose jobs, or lose, or you know, even if you don't lose your job, you change your job. Like that's a big shift to go
But
through in your life.
I think I've seen like a lot of people are exiting the game industry to not return, at least in the short term, because there's no jobs for them. Yeah, they can found a studio with their friends, and I think maybe a lot of them have. Maybe in 4 years or so, we'll start to see some games from these super talented people show up, and we'll be like, oh, this is what these people were up to. But there was like 44,000 people laid off this year and 22,000 people laid off last year. So there just isn't opportunity for all those people to fit back in where they once were, I don't think. Like it's just a staggering amount of people, like 66,000 people in a year and I guess a half,
How
a year
many
and a
were
quarter.
hired though, Christian?
We need to find the numbers. You're right. And also I'm not an expert. I'm kind of speaking out of my ass here, making up numbers I heard, well, not making up, but trying my best to recall them. So it's not 100%
Well,
accurate, but
anytime this stuff comes up too, it's always like dealing with AAA gaming, which I have little interest in, especially as I get older and older. Like I tend to focus more on like the indie stuff because that seems like where the interesting things are happening. And that's honestly what needs more of the financial support too. I think like
Yeah.
I think the onus is on us a little bit too. Like, don't pick up another Call of Duty or like whatever, Japanese RPG or whatever the new thing is out, like take a chance on like some $2 indie game that might be good and you might enjoy.
yeah.
So
Dude, that's what, and so we're announcing today, DLG VC, between my money, Christian's marketing, and Bobby's shrewd business acumen.
Acumen.
Uh,
Yeah.
yeah.
last thing. So I was thinking how weird construction is because it's one of the hardest things to do especially in the United States with all the rules, right? So you assemble a team every time you want to build something. you build the thing, and then the team disbands every time. And because it's one of the hardest things to do. What's the other hardest things to do? Movies. You assemble a team, you do the movie, and you disband the people. They're all gone, right? And I feel like maybe that'll work in games. I don't know. You just fucking bring people in, make this game, and then fucking disband. Because I don't know. I'm just throwing it out there because
A lot of big ideas floating around.
yeah, big ideas.
Podcast. A lot
Yeah.
of real in-depth talk here. You don't usually get like that. Well, next question from Big Dick Dad jams on your face.
Well, I think Emilio wanted to read this one. So.
I'm looking at porn. Okay. I guess this was a comment on one of our episodes. Is that
On
what it was?
Spotify. You can
On
leave
Spotify.
comments on Spotify.
Okay. Anyway, he starts with anyway, but was there nothing before anyway?
There's nothing before anyway.
Okay, there's nothing before anyway. Okay. Anyway, well, I guess his name is so long, right? Big Dick Dad.
Yeah, I think he
jams
just started
on your
the-
face.
Yeah, he just
And then
started
you're
this
like,
comment
anyway.
in mid-conversation.
Yeah. Anyways, that's what I was saying.
You mentioned magic cards, and in prison, out families would, I think you meant our families, would print 9 pictures out on one page, and we would cut them out with razor blade and tape them to a deck of cards to play. Was neat. So a couple things on this. I always say that like once I retire and I'm in a retirement home, like D&D and Magic the Gathering is going to be like, I hope there are people there, right? And then one of my best friends, I guess I never called him that, but now from work, he did 25 years. And he said that there was always Magic the Gathering people, and there was always D&D people playing all this time, all day, every day. And I'm like,
That's
doesn't
cool.
sound half bad. Doesn't sound.
What do I got to
Half
do to
bad.
go to jail? Let me know.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's funny.
Wow.
Cool.
Okay. Well,
Well,
I
thanks.
got a little lost in that. Do we have any more comments from this guy? We
have-
this should be a recurring thing.
Yeah.
He leaves a comment every maybe 4 or 5 episodes on
Okay.
Spotify.
Yeah, this has got to be a recurring thing because I think Big Dick Dad has jammed on our hearts.
I think that's true, Bobby. I think you're right. Yeah. That's funny.
So fucking gross. Dude.
Thank you, Big Dick Dad. Thank you.
Yeah.
Keep jamming forever.
Yeah. Forever.
All right. What's everybody playing next week? So Christian and I are still going to be doing all Star Wars all May. And the next game that I'm going to be picking is one of the ones I really liked. It's called Republic Commando. Came out in 2005. Really enjoyed it when it came out, but every time I went back to play it, I just felt like it wasn't quite the same. Lo and behold, on Steam, it has some very good ratings. So we're going to give it a shot. I think it's going to be Christian's first time really playing the game. So
Oh,
This should
you're
be
doing it
interesting.
together. I would. I please.
it's not a co-op. However, there is a co-op mod. So I don't know. Maybe we could give it a shot.
Oh.
But if you're listening, maybe you could start playing this game too, so you can follow along next week when we give you the breakdown.
It's almost like a book club game club.
Game Club.
Game club. No,
Game
no,
Club
no,
for
but-
Star Wars. Sorry.
But you guys are gonna keep playing the same game every week. I enjoy that. I like the banter back and forth.
Yeah.
Podcast review right there.
We could do this forever, dude. There's so many Star Wars games.
Yeah.
This
It
could
is
just be
quite
the
scary.
podcast.
Yeah.
Oh,
Star
and you-
Wars.
I just saw something, a new something crew, the Naughty Crew or something for StarArs. It's definitely not
Naughty
the Naughty
Crew.
Crew. Definitely not the Naughty Crew.
The Bad
You were
Batch?
telling us you were looking at porn,
no.
dude.
There's a new. I just saw a new poster for the something crew.
Oh,
game?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, it's a
What is
show. I
that?
think. Yeah.
Star Wars new show. Google live on the
The
podcast.
Skeleton Crew.
The Skeleton
Skeleton.
Crew. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know anything about it other than the poster. You guys know? I recognize that guy
Yeah.
from something.
Yeah.
Is a coming of age story about 4 children who make a discovery on their home planet, get lost in a galaxy, and go. I clicked a link and now it's lost. Okay. Science fiction, coming of age, adventure,
That's
Star
cool.
Wars.
Like,
Yeah.
you know, a little like Stranger Things meets one of our friends is Force sensitive, you know? Maybe.
Oh, they're trying
Yeah.
to do the thing. Main
Trying
character's
to do
name
the
is
thing.
12. I love it.
And on that note, wait, what are we playing next week?
Republic Commando, what are you playing next week?
What are you
Hades 2.
playing? Hades 2.
Yeah. And on that note, on that bombshell, speaking for Bobby, Christian, and myself, Republic Titties.
Goodbye.
Bye, everybody. The prim, the proper, you know.
I was hoping you were going to say big dick dad jams on your face titties. It's such a mouthful.
Probably joke of the year. Coming in May.